my live video. Okay, I'm running a little behind because I ran into somebody at the store and this person was like, let me tell you some things about my life going on. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I need to go because I've got my live today. I go live every single Wednesday at 12:30 Central Standard Time. But as you can see, I'm running a little bit late today. So sorry about that. But today we're going to talk about, have you ever trusted your intuition only for it to give you all the signs and then turn around and kind of take away what you thought was meant to be yours? And that's what I want to talk about today. This is the story of us getting a puppy several years ago. Actually, I think right now it was 10 years ago we would have had this dog. 10 years right now that we got this puppy. And I'll go into a lot more of the story in a minute, but I would love to know where in the world you're joining me from. And then on top of that, have you ever had a situation like this occur for you where you thought you were going to get what you wanted and you got it, and then you're like, I'm not sure this is really what I want. And then for the universe to actually, or God, or whatever you call it, to remove it from your life because it wasn't the right fit. And all along, I guess, I thought that this was going to be the right fit for my family, and it didn't turn out that way. So if you don't know me, my name is Melissa K. Range. I love to ignite change in people. I love to have people transform. My clients that I've worked with for many years, they are people who love transformation as well because they keep showing up over and over and over to receive my guidance and my help and facilitation on their life journey. And so that's a little bit about me. Oh, I'm watching some squirrels play in my yard on one of my trees. I have had a lot of animal signs. Hello from Ohio. Oh, yes. Yes, that's true. That is true. I never thought about that. But, and welcome from Ohio. What part of Ohio? My daughter goes to college in Ohio. So this is the story of our dog named Kino. That's what we named our dog, which actually has a wonderful meaning. And I think actually what my daughter actually chose this name because we weren't sure what to name our puppy. But it started out years ago. I heard about these German Shepherd protective dogs. They could protect your family. And I started, Northwestern Ohio. I started to investigate these German Shepherd dogs. And actually, I don't know if you know this, but you can have dogs trained and then purchase them. It's quite expensive. But I had made a dream board. And this dream board years ago had these German Shepherd dogs on it. And the reason that I thought this would be a good dog for my family is because I'm a single mom. And years ago, there was somebody that was kind of stalking me. And I thought, well, if I'm a single mom and I need to have a protective something and not have a gun in my house, because I do have my concealed and carried license, but I didn't want to have a gun with little children in my house. So needless to say, I thought these dogs would protect us, or this dog would protect us. Hello. And so I put this on my dream board years ago. And on top of that, I think I've mentioned to you all, and maybe if you're new here or you haven't heard me say this, I have trained on and off with a subconscious mind coach for many years. I think it's been on and off for like 13 years. And he had several German Shepherd dogs because he was part of the Vietnam War. And they would give him a dog, he would train the dog, and the dog was with him as the point man, and they would go first, and the dog would sniff out traps, and it would sniff out bombs, and it would sniff out lines where the trip lines, the trip wires. So he had several German Shepherds actually. And at one point, this is what I heard, I did not experience this, he would bring his German Shepherd to his seminars, and he would make people like basically come up to the room and give the dog a command where this dog would be snarling and ready to attack. And he would just have to say one command and the dog would completely be this person's friend. So this is fascinating to me that we could train these animals to be like this and be protective of us. And I wanted to have this for my children and for the safety of my family. And so lo and behold, I'm thinking about this and wanting this and putting this out to the universe. And my children and I went on a really big vacation that was really pushing my edge. This was 10 years ago this summer. And my children were 7 and 10 and 11. And we went to this place. And when I got home, I I found this breeder. I found this breeder and she said, "I will have these German Shepherd puppies and they are from a really great line of German Shepherds, and you can get one and it'll be a really great dog for your family." This lady had been breeding these dogs for a while. And so I said, okay, but the dogs were just born and they weren't ready to be given away from their mother. And so I was like, okay, do I want to get this dog? And I was hemming and hawing about it. Okay. And so maybe you all have been in this kind of space before where you know that you have this idea or this thing in mind that you want, and you're really having to make a decision about it because it's a commitment. Having a puppy and to a dog and training it is a big, big commitment. And let me just tell you all a little story from before. And I should do a story on this as well, like about this dog. But my former husband and I, we had a dog when we were first married. And I trained that dog, which was a border collie, a full-blooded border collie. I trained her to be a flyball champion. And if you don't know what flyball is, it's a game with 4 dogs where they run up to a spring-loaded box with a tennis ball in it. They push their feet on the box, they get a ball in their mouth, and then they come and turn around, and then the next dog goes. So it's 4 dogs in every race. And I traveled around the country with my dog. This was my first dog after I was married. And so I had trained this border collie to be a flyball champion. And she was the anchor dog. She was amazing. She was really fun. And I loved doing it because I didn't have children at that time and I could travel. But then I got pregnant and I was still racing her even up to the end of my pregnancy. So let me just tell you, I had trained a dog to be very obedient. And so I knew I could train this German Shepherd puppy. I knew it. And I had already started reading up on how to train a German Shepherd to be a protective dog. And I had already purchased, well, I was getting ready to purchase things to actually teach the dog to track and all of this stuff. So this was not something that I was just like willy-nilly about. I was going to make a commitment to own this dog, to train this dog, and to make sure this dog was a protector of my family. So needless to say, she had the dogs. And so I knew that, but I needed to pull the trigger and actually get the dog. The dog was $1,500. And I knew that too. I knew I was going to have to pay $1,500 for the dog. And we had just gone on this very expensive vacation, but I thought, okay, this is a long-term investment. Have you ever done this? You have to make a big decision. You have to make an investment. And a lot of times, for example, like a house or a car, those are long-term investments where we are going to be using or staying in that place or need to make a decision by such and such date. What do I do? And so I started the signs, the signs to get this dog were blaring and screaming at me. And I'm trying to remember even all of the signs because there were so many signs that I was meant to get this dog. Now, I'd love to know in the chat if any of you have ever experienced something like this. Let's say you have something in your life that you want. And do you start, and this is part of your subconscious, this is how your subconscious works. You start seeing, let's pretend you want a yellow car. And you in your subconscious have imprinted, it's called imprinting, a picture of a yellow car. So what starts to happen? You start to see yellow cars everywhere. You start to see yellow cars in magazines. You start to see yellow cars on the road. You start to see yellow cars in TV commercials. You probably start to see yellow cars. Hello. You probably start to see yellow cars on your feed. And this is really a lesson for you all to start paying attention. And one of the things that I love to teach people about getting what they desire is pay attention. Pay attention to what is going on for you in your life. So I started to pay attention to what signs were coming in about this German Shepherd. And I was putting it out to the universe daily because I needed to make a decision. And one of the most amazing stories that I have about this dog, and I'm reconnecting. Let's see what's going on. I have many bars on my phone. It looks like I'm connected. So I'm just going to keep talking because I don't actually know what's going on. So I hope you all can still see me, or because it says my timer is still running. Um, and one of the questions I'm going to pose to you right now is, have you ever had to return something you really wanted? How did it feel? And I was struggling to make the right decision. I feared I was going to make a mistake. I mean, these are all the things that were going on in my mind. I don't know what is going on with my internet right now, but it says reconnecting, but I'm going to keep talking. So I went to my favorite park. I hope it's on here. I went to my favorite park. I wonder if I can look this up while I am doing my live and see if I can. Oh, my stars up in heaven. I'm not, for some reason, this signed me out of all of my, oh my gosh. Okay, here I am. Okay, something's going on with my internet. I don't know what. So it says I'm connected. Okay, I'm going to go back to my story. I hope you all are here. And I hope you can see me. I don't know what is going on with my computer. Let's see. Okay, let me go back to my story. I'm trying to find my notes, but I don't see them. Here they are. Okay, so I'm at the park. I go to the park a lot. I highly recommend, if you ever need to find a solution to something, you go to a park without your phone and you walk and you stand in the trees or you sit on the ground and you ask your question to the universe, and then you surrender and you let go. Okay, so I'm in the park and it's getting late and I'm actually coming out of the park, and this man is coming in with a German Shepherd puppy. And this is right before I needed to make the decision, was I going to buy the dog or was I not going to buy the dog? And I looked at him and I said, oh my gosh, is that a German Shepherd puppy? And he said, yes, I just got it. They shipped it to him from Seattle. And I said, oh my gosh, can I pet your dog? What is your dog's name? And he says, oh, my dog's name is Lucas. And I almost flipped a gasket because the dog that I was waiting for, she had temporarily named Lucas. Now, tell me in the chat, please, if any of you have ever experienced anything like this. I mean, these are blatant signs. And for me, these were blatant screaming signs that I needed to get this dog. And this was part of my journey. I knew in that moment that was it. I went home. I sent the woman an email and I said, we want the dog. When can you bring it to us? And so she replied back to me. And I want to say we had the dog and I picked it up near the airport within a week. And I'll never forget seeing all the German Shepherd puppies when I got to the airport area. And she had several because she was dropping off a few to different people that day. And the dog, I think, was only 10 weeks old at the time. And it was a puppy. And you're not supposed to wean the dog from its mom for 12 weeks. But see, I didn't know this. And when I got my first dog, we actually got her when she was only 5 weeks old, which was not good either, because you're not supposed to wean these animals from their mama. And so I got the dog, and I think I had told my children, and I had gotten a crate and I was ready to bring this beautiful, beautiful dog. If you looked at my picture on my thumbnail, you can see the dog in the picture. It was a gorgeous, gorgeous dog. So I bring the dog home. The children are enamored. They are in love with the dog. It is a 10-week-old puppy or 9-week. I can't remember how old it was. And they are in love with this beautiful, gorgeous German Shepherd. And the first few nights, of course, it cried because it was away from its mama. And we didn't have a name for it yet because we weren't sure what to name it. We wanted a strong and powerful name. And because it's a strong and powerful dog. I mean, German Shepherds, of course, are known for a lot of wonderful, they're very smart, they're highly trainable, They're beautiful dogs, amazing. And so the first few nights, I did not get any sleep because I was putting him in a crate to crate train him. And so he was in my room and he would cry and he would whine. And so that was really hard for me because I wasn't getting any sleep. So we had the dog and everything was going really good. But as he grew over the next couple of weeks, he started to bite my children's their ankles, near their Achilles tendons and at their heels. He was trying to herd the dog. I had also started training the dog. One of the things you can do to teach a dog to track is you can buy a baby pool and fill it with those colored balls and put their food inside of that, and you can teach them how to track. And I have been told to start teaching this German Shepherd how to track. There's actually activities and ways that you can teach German Shepherds how to begin doing it when they're young. Have any of you ever done anything like this before? And I was ready. I was like, but the children were starting to become weary of the dog, biting their heels. They didn't even want to be around him after a few weeks because he had those puppy teeth and he was really hurting their heels and the backs of their ankles. And so I was thinking to myself, gosh, this isn't good if my children don't want to be around this dog. I mean, this is supposed to be a family dog. This dog is supposed to be our buddy. And so I was starting to question. And have you ever been through anything like this? You're questioning your decision. You're questioning if you did the right thing. Because for me, I had put all the signs out there. I had looked and asked and trusted myself and my intuition to do this. And so I thought I had made the right decision. And so one of my friends or somebody recommended that I get a trainer for the dog because in the beginning, the trainer could come over and show us some things that I didn't know about this specific type of dog. And so lo and behold, I think I asked the breeder if she had a trainer, and she's like, yes, I have a trainer friend. She doesn't live very far from you. And so you can call her. And I thought, okay, I'm going to invite this trainer to come over and see what's going on with the dog and work with her. And I also invited my mom to come over. And so we gathered in my family room with the trainer. This was like a week later. So by this time, I think we'd had the dog for about 3 weeks. And the trainer comes over. She sits down on the couch. My children are in the family room. My mother's in the family room. And we sit down and we're listening to the trainer talk about how to work with this dog, what's going on. And these are the tips and tricks and ways to do it. And all of a sudden, she's trying to train the dog. And the dog is not happy with what's going on. I don't know what was going on with it, but actually, she went to go do something and it actually bit her in aggression. It wasn't like a playful bite. It was like, I don't like you and I am biting you. And my children were freaking out. I didn't say a word, but in that moment, something shifted within me and said, I don't think this is the right dog for our family. I must have made a mistake and I need to do something about this because, and I say this because the trainer and I, we went outside after she was bleeding and everything. We went outside to let the dog run around and like give him a break. And she said, well, Melissa, you can train this dog. Everything will be fine. But if you change the way the pack looks to this dog, like let's say one of your children goes to college and comes back, you're probably going to have to retrain it. And it might get upset because the pack has changed, because this animal was so pack oriented and protective. I mean, that's what I wanted. I wanted a protective dog. And so she says this to me. This is what's going on in my mind, you all. My ex-husband said that if a dog ever bit he had been about our dog the one week before harming our children. And that dog had started to get really nippy and bitey. And this was when my children were little. And he said, Melissa, we can't keep this dog because I don't want it to harm our children. And so we ended up giving that dog to the top trainer at Purina Farms and his wife, and they had like 15 dogs already, but they had a farm and they wanted our dog Remy. And so we gave it to them, and she actually became a Frisbee dog. I mean, she was amazing. So in my mind, as this trainer is telling me this, like, don't change the pack and all of this stuff, I'm thinking, my ex-husband's going to sue me. The dog is going to harm one of our children, and I'm going to be in trouble in River City. And so we went back inside, and I sat down, and my children had scattered. They were gone. They didn't want anything to do with this anymore, and they were freaking out because it was scary. And I'm sitting there talking to the trainer, and she looks at me and she says, "Well, I wonder if the breeder would take the dog back because you've only had the dog for 3 weeks." And I said, "Why don't you ask the breeder for me?" Because they were friends. And guess what happened? The breeder said yes. And the lady, the trainer, said, "I will be back tomorrow. I will pick your dog up and I will take it back," which this lady lived like an hour and a half away or maybe further. And she said, "I'll take the dog back." And the breeder said she would give you a full refund on your money. Okay, you all, I am just blown away at this point. Like, wow, what what does this mean that I got the dog I thought I wanted, and then it wasn't the best choice for my family, and the universe took it back and gave me all my money back and gave me peace of mind back and serenity over this whole scenario? What do you think that felt like for me? Well, first it felt like I made a mistake, but then I turned around and looked at it from a different perception. And the perception was, how fortunate am I that this was so easy and that we had this experience, this amazing, wonderful, sometimes brutal experience of learning about how we can wish for something, but then when it doesn't work out, it all works out. Put in the chat for me if you have had an experience like this. And I love the comment before, well, and I don't want to be careful what I wish for necessarily, but I always want the universe or spirit, I call it, to have my back and to be looking out for me. Even when I think something is right for me, sometimes that's not always the case, but I need to experience it. Otherwise, I'm not going to give up on that goal or that dream, or that I had spent $1,500 on this dog my children was not going to hang around with. And we were set up in this way with the trainer so that we could actually see what the dog was capable of and what the dog was, in a way, what the dog needed and what we didn't need. And I'm going to tell you the rest of the story now. And I had all these emotions, and maybe you've had some of them too. I had some guilt. I had the fear inside of me that I was doing something to harm my children. I had, I was worrying about me always being the one to make all the choices. You know, I have to make a lot of choices as a single mom, and sometimes it's really challenging. And then feeling like, and I felt this too at some point until I really saw the great gift, feeling like I failed at something. So, needless to say, we come to find out that this dog and all of its siblings comes from one of the most amazing dog lineages that there is, from Germany. So this dog came, his grandsire, maybe it's his double grandsire dog, was the number one protection dog in Germany. And guess what happened to our dog? Our dog, Kino, we called him Kino. He actually went on to be a police dog in New York City. And I don't know if he's still alive. He would be 10 right now. No, yeah, 10. But our dog, because it came from such an amazing lineage of protective guard dogs, that it is now a police dog in New York City. So I think that was the perfect job for our dog. And we were able to let go and know that this dog had found its purpose and that we had it temporarily. So, uh, for some reason, everything happens for this lady. I think she she was just probably, yes, trying to sell the dogs and probably trying to make money. But I did think that I could train the dog, and I could have trained the dog. I've trained a dog in the past, and I know that it takes a lot of dedication and a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of energy, and I really thought that I could do it. And obviously for me, I didn't realize the capacity and the capability of this animal. But I think what ended up happening was it all worked out in the best possible way for me. And I was very grateful that this dog was able to go on, and this dog was able to do its purpose, live its purpose, be a protection dog, and have an important job in New York City. And so that made me, this kind of stuff, if you look back on your life and you can see all the miracles or all the things that happened for you, then you don't have a negative or what is the word I'm looking for? Just a negative attitude about the way things turn out for us, because I didn't really lose anything. I gained a lot of wisdom by having that experience. And now we have an amazing family dog that's a golden retriever. And we got him, and I could make a story out of that too, how we got him and how all that worked out and how he's been such an important part of our family. And I even have a story about him that I could tell that's funny. But I know all of us have experiences like this, but I trusted my intuition, and then I trusted my intuition to let go of the dog. And I think that's the main point here, is we have to trust ourselves, and we have free will, and we can do things as we see fit. But then in this instance, it all worked out for everybody involved for the highest good of all. That's my point. So tell me in the chat, what's something you've had to walk away from, even when it felt like a dream at first? I asked this question before. And this is at the core. This information that I shared today, this story, is really at the core of everything I teach, because everything I teach in my Find Your Fire program, my 5-week self-pay inner voice, that still small voice within that we sometimes forget. I am currently going through another training, working with a big group of people around your super conscious and trusting your intuition. And I think what it's teaching me or reminding me is seeing the greatness in everything and everyone, and listening to that hit, that wisdom, that knowingness, that voice that comes through, that we can tell someone else information that maybe they need to hear if they're asking. I don't give advice to people who don't want it. I don't just blah and vomit on people with information about what's best for them, because every one of us knows what is best for ourselves, but we have to learn how to listen to that still small voice, to that, let's call it the God within, let's call it the inner knowing, the higher consciousness, the tuned in, tapped in, turned on part of us. And so that is my story today, and that is my program. If you want to join, if you have questions, you can go to my website, www.reclaimrebuildrestore.com. The information on the program is there, and you are welcome to check that out. I also am a professional speaker, so I do professional speaking events around my area. And I think the nudge that I'm getting is that I'm going to be creating my own programs in person, because I think we need to be in person and learning from one another and gathering together. It's fun to do stuff online and on things like this, social media platforms. But I also think it's, sorry, people are texting me, but I think it's also amazing when we can be in each other's energy and in the environment with one another. And so if you have questions, please check out my website, go and look at that. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I wanted to share, but drop a heart in the comments if you're interested in getting back to your fire, learning about what lights you up, your desires, your dreams, your ambitions. What is it for you that lights you up and makes you excited and happy and joyful? And I thank you for joining me today. Please join me on these every Wednesday at 12:30 Central Standard Time. That's when my live is, and I'm always coming up with new ideas and new things to share with you all, because I know it's, for me, it's always good to hear a story around a lesson. I think that, but I hope you all are having a super duper fabulous day. And I just want to make sure I didn't miss any